Right, so Danielle and Mohamed are finally off for their annulment hearing, so the courts can decide whether or not Mohamed gets to stay in the United States of America. So last time out, Danielle was following her lawyer's advice by trying to get affidavits from her friends and family to use against Mohamed. However, when their mutual friend Walmart Tom refused to pick sides, she stormed off in tears, vowing to do everything in her power to get Mohamed deported. Now, with the court date just a day away, Mohamed is meeting up with his lawyer, Donald Harris, to get his own advice. To Donald's surprise, Mohamed reveals that he has made the decision to not hire legal representation for the court hearing, and so he warns Mohamed just how risky this approach is.
I'm going to advise you that you really need a lawyer for this.
I don't have any lawyer, but I know what I'm doing, okay? And I know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about myself, so I will be good.
This is such a common error people make. The judicial system just isn't how they make it out to be in the movies. Passionate speeches don't win court cases, no matter how moving or true they are. All that matters is setting out the law and applying it to the case at hand. Without representation, there is a huge risk that Danielle's lawyer will absolutely wipe the floor with him. And Donald doesn't want Mohamed throwing away his dreams of living in the US by making such a silly mistake.
You've put a lot into this green card.
All I did for the green card is I applied for it so I can be legal here.
Okay.
That's all I did.
Okay, so...
I'm telling you.
I know.
I'm telling you.
Okay, I'm not the bad guy.
I'm not saying that.
No.
I think Mohamed is misunderstanding the point that Donald is making here. He may not have put in a lot of work literally applying for the green card, but he did put up with Danielle for almost 2 years and went back and forth to Ohio several times, trying to stop her from getting his citizenship revoked. This is one final hurdle to make sure all of that effort doesn't go to waste. He needs to be doing everything in his power to clear it.
If you merely make this an argumentative response, then you lose. It's very foolish that he is not being prepared for the evidence she's going to present against him. That's very foolish.
For the sake of saving a few $1,000s, I'm inclined to agree. Donald then tells him that Danielle is going to come at him with everything she's got, so he needs to be prepared. But in response, Mohamed just angrily says that everything that Danielle's accusing him of, she's guilty of herself. And unsurprisingly, that doesn't calm Donald's concerns.
A larger issue is I did not realize how angry he was. And if that's the level of anger he's taking into this, I see him bound for Tunisia, going home.
I'm not surprised that he's angry and frustrated after years of lies and flip-flopping over whether she's going to let him stay in the US or not. But if he's not careful, those feelings are going to be the reason that she wins this. Well, with his final legal consultation out the way, Mohamed heads off to meet up with Walmart Tom, who tells him about Danielle's visit the night before.
Danielle is a very manipulative person, and she likes things to be her way. So I just want to make sure Mohamed's prepared with as much ammunition as he can have going in.
So Tom tells Mohamed about all the evidence that Danielle claims to have, and about all the printed out screenshots that she showed him. But rather than seeming too worried about any of that, Mohamed just says how disappointed he is that she's trying to turn his friends against him. Then Tom asks Mohamed how he would feel if the judge ruled in Danielle's favor, and he had to leave the US.
It's so sad. I love it to death. I want to stay here. The fact that I'm dealing with this based on lies is what's hurting me.
Tom then says that Mohamed seems a little bit scared, and understandably, he admits that he is. In response, Tom gives Mohamed some advice, emphasizing the importance of staying composed in the courtroom, even if Danielle is provoking him or outright lying.
No matter what happens with the situation, whether you stay in the States or you go back to your country, I don't think that's going to impact our friendship.
Walmart Tom is actually such an all-round good guy. For all the absolute nutcases that this show features, every now and then it's just nice to have someone on who's kind, level-headed and fair, to remind us that society isn't entirely filled with the Danielles and big heads of this world. Anyway, and with that, Walmart Tom leaves Mohamed to get a good night's sleep ahead of the big day. The morning after, we catch up with Danielle, who's feeling a mixture of emotions. But first, a quick message from today's sponsor, Raid Shadow Legends. Now, I've played a lot of Raid, but I'm no expert, so I'm going to pass you over to our very own Professor Death Knight.
Professor Death Knight here from Tuleria University, legally not a school, with a math problem. If you create a hit mobile game in 2019, how many champions will you have now? Over 700! Not only does Raid have hundreds of rad champions, it also has 15 amazing factions. Faction Pop Quiz. Can you name the latest faction? If you said the elusive Sylvan Watchers, you're right. Okay, class, any questions?
Oh yeah, so with all these cool new champions, are you nervous about the prospect of any of them replacing you?
Nervous? Who said anything about being nervous? It certainly wasn't me. Oh, it was you? Yes, I'm nervous. What if they introduce some guy named Mega Death Knight? Ugh.
Well, it seems you're safe for now, because Raid have just introduced a brand new boss, Akamori the Phantom Shogun. This undead general is guarding everything you need for Accessory Ascension, a new feature that allows you to upgrade your gear to even greater heights. And don't forget to check out the animated limited series Raid Call of the Arbiter on the official Raid Shadow Legends YouTube channel now. And if you haven't started playing Raid yet, use my link in the description or scan my QR code on screen to get insane bonuses like an epic champion Drake and a bunch of other useful things. Hit that link in the description and I'll see you on the battlefield. Huge thank you to Raid for sponsoring today's video. Now let's get back to catching up with Danielle.
This could be the end of it. It's like a death almost.
Not to jinx it, but at least she finally appears to be coming to terms with the fact that whatever the outcome, she's losing Mohamed for good, and after today, may never see him again. Knowing that, however, she wants to make the most of her final few hours of not being blocked by Mohamed on every means of communication known to man. So she calls him up on the phone, and when he doesn't answer, leaves him a voicemail.
Mohamed, this is Danielle. I'm calling, asking you to please be civil and don't do nothing to start drama.
Don't do anything to start drama. She's taking the man to court for marriage fraud, for goodness sakes. They had separated and lost contact with each other months ago. The only reason this entire farce is still slugging along is because she couldn't resist whipping it up again, out of nothing but loneliness and spite.
I need to do this for my family, most importantly my kids, because he hurt them too. I owe it to them to make it right.
Pinning all that on Mohamed is actually so low. It's about time she took some responsibility for it all, just like she did with her son Corey. Like, blaming Mohamed for their pain is like leaving a baby out in the sun without sun cream and then getting mad at the sun for the baby getting sunburn. Like, yeah, technically the sun is the reason for the sunburn, but you're the one that put your child there and did nothing to protect them from the consequences of it.
The last 3 years of my life has been a waste. It was wasted on someone who was not here for the right reasons. I want him gone, and I want all this drama behind me.
Still shirking responsibility and acting as if the only reason the relationship failed were Mohamed's initial intentions, and had nothing to do with her unhinged, insufferable behaviour. Thankfully, the time has finally come for all of this to be settled, and Mohamed is coming extra prepared.
I need to protect myself from being harassed. So for that reason, I'm going to record every single thing that's happening in the courthouse for my safety.
So I was curious and I actually looked this up, and surprisingly, subject to some limitations, you are actually allowed to record court proceedings in Ohio. Although he says it's for his safety, but then he starts talking to his camera like he's vlogging for a YouTube video.
If anything happens in the courthouse, that is going to show people that I'm not the bad one. Good morning, my friends. I'm just going to the courthouse right now, and I'm really stressed out.
It kind of sounds like he's doing this more for the court of public opinion than anything else. And to be fair, that kind of makes sense given how often things aren't picked up by the show's cameras, and it just left to his word against hers. I bet he's looked back on so many moments during their relationship like, I wish I was filming that. And it is no surprise that he wants to avoid having that feeling after a day as important as today.
You sticking a cell phone at a courthouse? Who does that?
Oh, he makes my skin crawl.
Mohamed just is a little bit extra sometimes, isn't he? Recording the whole ideal I was kind of backing, but pointing the camera at them like that is a little bit much. It's like he's trying to provoke Danielle to get more footage to use against her or to rile her up for court. Anyway, after one final pep talk with Beth to psych her up, Danielle follows Mohamed into the courtroom.
All right, go get him, Danielle. Do not let him get away with this.
I really hope that the judge sees the things like I do. I am ready to do whatever possible to get him deported.
I am so looking forward to never having to hear her say those words again. 20 videos following them over a near 3-year period, and it's finally about to be over. Next time out, we'll be finding out the court's decision and catching both of their reactions, so make sure you're subscribed down below if you don't want to miss it. And as always, thanks for watching.